Hey, it's Dr. Karen Can. Welcome to my channel. And this week on Spiritual Medicine Digest, I'm going to actually reveal the history or the lore, if you will, behind the TOLPAKAN Healing Method. But before we get into that, would love for you to hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel, perhaps the notification bell, so every time I do a new video, you will be notified. And we actually will be doing a little mini activation as well today, so stay tuned. All right, our topic. It's funny because to me, it feels like I've told this story so many times on telesummits and, podcasts and things like that. And yet I still get asked, why is it called the TOLPAKAN Healing Method? Actually, most people mispronounce it as TOLPAKAN, but yeah, that's all right. So I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna put it out there publicly on YouTube what the history is behind the TOLPAKAN Healing Method. Okay, so back when I had an acupuncture office, um, loved, having an office and helping people with acupuncture, I was introduced to the emotion code by my friend 𝗥𝗔𝗗𝗜𝗢. She's one of my LifeWave brand partners. And I literally dove into that book, loved it, right? Loved Dr. Brett, loved the book. I just went right forward, started using it in the office with great positive effect, got certified. Found he had another program called the Body Code, so I got certified in that as well. Got to meet him in person and most of his family. Absolutely wonderful. Then learned about entities. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Instead of being afraid, I was leaning in, going, that's very interesting. How could entities, i.e., negative spirits, affect someone's health? I'm very curious. So I kept being curious, found another healer teacher who called me out of the blue and said, hi, my name's Tamara, and um, my dad, Dr. Stephen Davis. I'm like, oh yeah, no, Dr. Davis. She goes, you don't know who I am, but I got an intuitive hit to call you. How can I serve you? And I was like, wow, you don't get that very often, right? So I don't know, I was just in one of those cheeky moods and I said, oh, do you know anything about entities? Thinking I might scare her off, right? And she was like, oh, I love healing entities. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I'm like, you're the friend for me. So she became my mentor and helped me a lot. And I found other mentors and books and things like that along the way, including the radio show guest that we will be sharing in just a moment. And so I started, venturing out and saying, well, is what is bothering my patient something in the emotion code, something in body code? And slowly over time, it seemed like there were other things aside from what was in the emotion code body code. And I was like, oh, okay. So I kept documenting some of these things, and they were pretty wild things. But you know what? People got better. So I thought, okay. So I'm a very creative person. So, my husband and I were driving to Toronto one day to visit my folks. And for whatever reason, we were dropping like love bombs. Oh, I remember at the border. Yes, yes, yes. I had a let's just say less than optimal experience at the border in the past, and I thought, well, let's just drop some love bombs there, right? So it'd be all you know, nice and friendly, and and we were just doing this, and I thought, I'm just gonna continue connecting with source and muscle test, right? And I'm just having such a fun time with this healing thing that I'm doing. In fact, I was asking in my office for my patients, is what this person needs to heal is in the body code, emotion code, or something else. So the something else was this thing that I was writing down all the different options. It got pretty wild. You should see that piece of paper that stuff written over here and over here. So that day, my husband's driving. He's such a sweetie. And I'm having this, conversation with Source, and it was like I felt the angels come in, like I was having conversations with my angels using muscle testing, but it was fast and furious, and it was so fun, right? So I was like, okay. So I'm like, oh, what is this thing? I'm doing this thing. I've got these things written out. What is this? Why is it working? How is it working? Right? And they said, well, well, I'm putting this in English, but the sense was, you're supposed to create a new healing modality. And at first I laughed out loud. I said, nah, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I said, look, uh, there's a lot of great modalities out there. Like, there's the emotional body code, Psych-K, EFT, tapping, Reiki, like there's all these energetic therapies, right? What else? There's the other one I wanted to mention. Uh, Theta healing. There we go. There's like a whole bunch of really great ones out there. So I'm like, you don't need another one. And besides, it sounds like a lot of work. So the angels, undaunted, said, I think you should make this into a healing modality. So I was like, okay, theoretically speaking, if I did, why? Why? Give me a good reason, right? So they gave me two reasons, actually. The first reason was this. They said, well, sometimes when you explain something to someone, somebody might get it, might really resonate with your energy, how you explain things, your personality, and they might not understand it if somebody else teaches them. I said, yeah, that's true. That's true. Sometimes, they don't understand what I'm saying, but another teacher is better for them and vice versa. So I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. Wasn't terribly convinced, but there was another reason. They said the second reason is it's part of your soul expression. And I thought, soul expression. Huh. That kind of sort of makes sense. So yeah, say there's like 10,000 healing modalities out there, but if it's part of my soul expression to express this part of me, that this manifestation of this healing modality is part of my soul expressing itself, I couldn't really argue with that one. So I'm like, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to make it a healing modality. I was like, I have no idea what to do. However, I'm sure I'll be presented with it. And of course, I had the next piece of resistance. Said to my God team, my angels, says, well, I'm not putting my name in it. And gently and ever so humorously, they're like, oh, yes, you are. I'm like, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. I'm like, why? Why do I need to put my last name Can in this healing modality? And they said, because you have resistance to doing that. And I was like, oh, they got me again. Yeah, and I realized that I really did have a bias and judgment. Sorry for those colleagues of mine who did name their modalities after their names, right? Not going to name any names, but I'm like, that's such a guy thing to do. Obviously, I was biased, right? Biased, judgmental. And I think my God team was like, you want to resonate at that higher frequency, 5D, you have to let go of this stuff. And I'm like, you're right, again. All right, so Can is somewhere in the something method. The Can method sounded too canned. No, it just sounded like it wasn't quite it. So I said, okay, so I went into stillness, and we're going to do this in a few minutes because it's part of the healing modality. So stillness through observing internal movement. So I go into that 0 point field, that stillness, and I pause, and I'm like, well, actually, has this been named before? This technique, this method. And I got a yes. And I was like, ow, well, what is the name of it? And it was like this blank space. And I'm thinking, okay, better quality question. Is it in English? Nope. Okay. Is it in any language here on the planet? Nope. I'm like, okay, well, that explains the not hearing anything, right? So I said, okay, well, can you give me a visual or like something? Because it has a name. Obviously, it's off-world or alien. It's not, in the language we have on the planet. So can you give me a hint? So I see in my mind's eye crop circles. And I thought, Well, I guess that kind of sort of makes sense. I actually found the one too, but it's like this tiny little one and this big, huge poster of like 80 or like, oh, there's a lot of crop circles. It's this tiny thing. Maybe with Google Images now I could find a better quality version of it. But anyway, so I'm thinking, well, I can't really call this healing modality crop circle can method, right? Oh my goodness. So I'm like, okay, so it's a crop circle. So again, go into stillness, and I said, okay, so when did it start? Like, how does this work? Like, how do I describe it? So this is what I got. Believe it or not, it doesn't really matter. This is this people want to know the story for some reason. I usually don't tell it, but I'm going to tell it to you today. So apparently, shall I say supposedly, I'm not going to say allegedly. It's a trigger word for people. Okay, the story goes, how about that? That way back when, in some reality and lifetime, Archangel Raphael, the healing angel, who is my buddy, Michael, Raphael, everybody, Michael, Raphael. Anyway, so they're around all the time. Sometimes I do take them for granted, sorry. But they have a good sense of humor. So, so Raphael personally attuned 8 embodied beings with healing frequencies for them to be able to attune others and so on and so forth. So one of these beings was Jesus. And I'm a fan of Jesus. In fact, I used to say, I'd like to do Jesus type healing. Like, I touch you, you're healed, man. Woo, right? So I was like, okay, you got my attention now. Fascinatingly, me in another lifetime was one of those 8. I was Lemurian. And also later on, I found out I was 7 foot tall and about 240 pounds, and my body was trying to make me into that tallness a few years back. You'll see some pretty pudgy pictures of me back in 2016, 2017 until I figured that one out. Anyway, so this Lemurian version of myself, other timeline, that soul actually came into this human body. And so apparently I didn't finish my mission back in Lemuria. I'm going to cry a little bit. So in that reality, I usually don't cry when I talk about this part. Okay. So in that reality, I didn't get to finish my mission. So my mission was to spread, for lack of a better word, this TOLPAKAN attunement, like this energy from Archangel Raphael, to the whole planet. And at that time, I needed a crystal or crystals, a stone. It in my mind's eye, I see it as this big blue thing. It kind of looks like a lapis lazuli, but it's not that. Anyway, it's this blue alien-looking crystal, and it had to go on this altar thingamajiggy, and then it's this big huge machine, but it's not a machine like a metal machine like we have here. It's like the sacred, almost looks like stone to me. But anyway, there's some sort of activation. You probably see a lot of these in movies. So, and it would activate the whole planet, right? Well, I didn't get to finish the job in that timeline because Lemuria was destroyed. So I apparently decided to incarnate in this body, in this timeline. And obviously a very, emotional personality. And finish the job. So when I realized that was the case, I thought, okay, well, let's do this, right? So I asked, how do I share this, energy? And initially it was person by person, kind of like in the old days, it was person to person or with this big, huge crystal, which I do not have. So we started with that, person to person. People would be in person and I would attune them, and sort of like, Reiki attunements, that kind of thing. At some point, something shifted, like people call it the ascension, the expansion, whatever you want to call it. We were able to now not only do one-on-one in person, but groups. And then not only groups, but remotely. Oh my goodness. That was like, right? So now I think it's 96 point something percent of humans on the planet are now activated with these healing frequencies. I now call them TOLPAKAN frequencies. I've come to terms with the name. Okay. Hard to Still hard to pronounce, but I've come to terms with the name, with my name in it, TOLPAKAN. And so most people are too, the only thing is they don't necessarily know they are, and they don't know how to use it. So when I said to them, okay, so here's this crop circle, it doesn't in English, like, can you give me some English name, right, to kind of sort of describe what it is that, Raphael's frequencies help us do to heal. And so again, go into stillness, and the word tulpa came up, T-U-L-P-A. Now, don't freak out when you look it up. So I thought, what? Because I'm a fan of like supernatural movies and TV shows. So I was watching the supernatural TV show, very violent, by the way, supernatural TV show. And there was an episode where this, I believe it was a man, created a monster from his mind, and it was called a tulpa, or that was the technique or whatever. So I'm again arguing with the angels in this car, on this car ride to Toronto, and kind of, being very dramatic. As I was telling James what's going on, he's like, okay, he's driving. And I said, okay, hang on. I'm not naming it Tulpa because, that's like Monster City. Like, why would I name it after a monster? They're like, no, you're not getting it. I'm like, okay, I'm all ears. So this is what I got. That in that story about how this bad man created this bad monster, right? How did he do it? He did it with his imagination. And I was like, oh, so what you're saying is with these frequencies and our imagination, we can create or manifest the healing. And I could just hear the angels going, yeah, right? She gets it. I'm like, okay. So it's not that it's a monster creating machine. It is creation through imagination and intention and all that yummy stuff, right? I get it. I said, okay. So I think I'm going to use the word tulpa, but I'm going to spell it differently. And the funny thing is as I was figuring out the tulpa part, I remember in the car going, does it begin with an A, a B, a C, a D, and so it went to a T, and then a U, and then I'm like, T-U, and then an L, and I'm like, T. And then I saw the, supernatural, film in my mind and went, oh my gosh, tulpa. So anyway, so it's tulpa with an O. Close enough, right? Just in case you think it's monster creating. No. So we're creating our new reality, and we can use these beneficial frequencies to help us to facilitate it. And it was not that long ago that I read, for what it's worth, I don't think it's like 100% truly channeled, through Jesus, but I take the good parts, right? So it's called Christ Letters. And apparently it took 40 years for this woman to be clean and clear enough as a channel for Christ that energy to come through, and she could dictate. There were some parts where I was like, I don't think that's him. But anyway, the point is that whole book was about quantum physics. It was about manifesting. And I was like, okay, this is definitely connecting for me, right? What the angels told me, what this channel book says, totally like, okay, I'm really convinced, right? And it's not just that, it's because it works, right? So that's how we can create a different weather if we are allowed, and if it's for the highest and greatest good of all, right? And move hurricanes and get rid of, wildfires and make it rain somewhere. You know what I mean? If you can use your imagination that way through the still point, what else can you do? So that's what's really exciting. And at first, it was a lot of work, right, to make the TOLPAKAN Healing Method. The methodology is fairly simple, really is. But me being who I am, I'm like, oh, we could use it for, help people solve this. And we could have, have them ask these quality questions, and they could know their soul mission, and they can know their soul type, and they can check their boundaries, and they, all these questions that we can ask. So my claim to fame is not necessarily because I'm such like powerful healer or anything like that. My claim to fame is making you the most powerful healer you can be, and to help you ask quality questions in the stillness so you know where to direct those frequencies. Thank you, Archangel Raphael and Jesus and everyone else involved to co-create this. Yeah, and so we as in me and my team, actually it was just I think me and Tasha at that point, just like we're creating this, like we're making this new thing, yeah, I think 100 videos later, TOLPAKAN Healing Method is now a thing. So, and we've made a lot of offshoot programs with the same, skill sets, just kind of miniaturized to specific things that people are interested in. So, for example, one of them that we have kind of in the back is a program that we launched on 𝗟𝗓𝗏 a way back, and it's incredibly powerful. We have some amazing testimonials for it. It's called the Anxiety SOS program, and it is for highly sensitive souls who've been diagnosed or feel that they have anxiety. A lot of the time, it's not their stuff. So we actually give you the protocol to figure out, is it your stuff? Not your stuff. Is it a biological reason? And even if it isn't caused by a biological reason, what is your biology doing to cause you these symptoms, right? And how do you heal those things? We give you those protocols. There's 4 modules, that biological module, spiritual module, environmental module, dimensional module. We talk about stability and pyramids and all sorts of really cool stuff. So actually, I put in an anxiety SOS healing mind map in the light medicine community. So I'll link that below. So if you want to join the community for free, you can just grab that mind map, and at least you know what we talk about in this program. So we decided, yeah, it's holidays, sensitive souls, non-sensitive souls are really stressed this time of year. I remember when I was a medical doctor and was on call, it was horrific to be on call around the holidays because people would decompensate. And sensitive souls, that's 1/3 of us, the population on the planet here, we get it even worse. So I think this is a really pivotal program and really, really important to learn for yourself that kind of discernment. So love for you to grab that mind map. So we'll put that in the link below so you can grab that. And the Anxiety SOS program will be for sale until the end of December. Okay, so we're going to do a little TOLPAKAN healing right now, a little activation. So we're going to start with that stillness, where I go for all my answers. We align with source through the still point. And the method that I use is very simple. So if you're new to my channel, this is how we teach beginners, if you will, to start. Because I'm not much of a sit and, meditator. Okay, I'm always moving around. This is great for those of you that have a lot to think about and move around a lot. So go ahead and rub your hands, get some energy running in the body. Yes, 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 yes. All right. And then relax, close your eyes if it's safe for you to do so. And now focus on your hands, focus on the body. Start to feel any energy, movement, waves, tingles, pulsing, anything at all. You might even be your heartbeat. Maybe it's heat in the hands where you just rubbed. It doesn't really matter. Follow that flow of movement. Wherever it goes in the body, don't try to change it. Just follow it. Notice it. Where is it moving? Where is it moving now? Where is it moving now? So focus, feel, and flow. And as you do that, you enter the 0 point field, and we found an auto healing state. So I'm going to do what's called a TOLPAKAN healing directive and use some of those frequencies that Archangel Raphael gifted us humans and non-humans as well to help us with our healing. So let's go ahead and download some positive morphic fields, almost like blueprints. Here we go. So go ahead and continue feeling the movement and energy in the body while I do this, because you might notice a shift. I now command the positive morphic field of joy be downloaded and activated in the highest and best way, all directions of time with ease, speed, and grace. I now command that the positive morphic field of peace be downloaded and activated in the highest and best way, all directions of time with ease, speed, and grace. I now command the positive morphic field of bliss be downloaded and activated in the highest and best way, all directions of time with speed, ease, and grace. I now command the energies, the positive morphic field of gratitude be downloaded and activated in the highest and best way, all directions of time with speed, ease, and grace. Finally, I now command the positive morphic field of knowing that you are loved be downloaded and activated in the highest and best way, all directions of time, speed, ease, and grace. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Go ahead and let that settle in. If you have your eyes closed, you can go ahead and open your eyes. We'd love for you to give me some feedback for today. First of all, with the story. Have you heard it before? Haven't you heard it before? There might be some little details that you haven't heard before. And then also, if you noticed a shift in your body after downloading those positive morphic fields. Okay. Thank you, thank you. A couple of announcements for this week, aside from the Anxiety SOS program being available until the end of December. The radio show is going to address some of those things we talked about before, like sometimes there are lower vibrational energies that can be in our field. It's sort of like going to a box department store when you're a sensitive soul in the middle of Christmas or pre-Christmas. Not so Maybe you're into that. Maybe you get a dopamine hit when you're like jazzed with all these energies and people's stress, but not me, not so much. I'm like, go in, go out. Actually, now I have better boundaries, so I can actually stay in a little longer. But anyway, Diana Kushenbach, this is an old radio show of mine, and she's one of the folks that actually was very, kind of a matter of fact, very matter of fact about energy healing. It was kind of her thing as well, just like Tamara Patterson. Like she was really into that, and she actually gave me some insight into other aspects of these lower vibrational frequencies. Now, I haven't talked to her in quite some time. We might not be on the same page now, but we certainly were then, and I learned a lot, from Diana. So I thought this one might be a good one. How to be spiritually bulletproof is the name of that podcast. So check it out. I'll put the link below. And by the way, if you've been wondering, hey, Dr. Karen, how come the new podcast is not on Blog Talk Radio anymore? Well, that's because Blog Talk Radio told us a couple of weeks ago that they were going to go bye-bye. And we'd have to find another place to put our 702 episodes, which we did. Thank you, tech team. Tasha Taylor, Corlin, you guys are so awesome. So, so we are now in a new platform. And of course, it's spread to Spotify and, Apple Podcasts and all that good stuff. So, yes, we're figuring out the tech on that one. Love having a team. Anyway, so I think you'll enjoy this being spiritually bulletproof. Again, filter it through your own personal discernment. That is the most important thing. See what resonates with you. A couple other things as far as events go, some kind of exciting stuff. So on Tuesday, we have our monthly mini healings. Now, you can submit your request and be placed in a mini healing basket and have those TOLPAKAN healing frequencies supporting and helping you for 24 hours after the live call. Even if you can't make it live, it'll still work for you as soon as you listen and watch that. And there will be a replay, of course, and you'll be able to access that till the next month. So definitely put in your requests. And what we do is we do some group healing, and then eventually we will demo TOLPAKAN healing on a number of people. There might be a couple who are physically there, and I'll just show you how TOLPAKAN healing works. The methodology we talked about that we co-created with the angels in the universe. We'll demonstrate how that works. So that is usually the second Tuesday of each month. It's going to be 11 a.m. Eastern. And then on Friday the 13th, yes, Friday the 13th, 13 is a magical number. Did you know that? Yeah, that's why they want us to be scared of it. So we have the 13th chakra ceremony. 13th chakra ceremony. So what we're going to be doing is activating and connecting to some of the chakras that have been forgotten over the years, and we're bringing that knowledge back thanks to my mentor Marcus Bird and off-world friends, the Egyptian 13 chakras. So we will be going through each of those 13 chakras, connecting to them. And if you happen to have a 13 chakra bracelet, please bring it along because we can have you amplify the effect through touching each of those 13 chakra beads. But if you haven't bought it, that's okay. You can still come to the event absolutely free. It's very popular, and yeah, I think you'll have a lot of fun and get a lot out of that 13th chakra ceremony. Woo, let's activate all our chakras. Okay, great. So thank you so much for being here with me today, and for patiently listening through the history of Topacan healing. Now it's public on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed it. Would love your comments below. Remember to hit subscribe and perhaps a like if you like this video, and please share it with whomever you think is a fit for what you and I are interested in. Until next time, lots of love. Bye for now.